Oh, how fun is this co-main event, people? Right? How fun is this? We have got Aaron Pico against Lerone Murphy. Now, this came together on short notice. It did, right? Pico was meant to fight Moivev, Ivalov Moivev, right? In that was meant to have happened in Abu Dhabi, right? But Moivev got injured, so not able to happen. So, right, they wanted to keep Pico, in rotation. And Lerone Murphy was like, put me in, coach. Put me in. Which is awesome. Right? So Aaron Pico, he is an athlete. 28, 5'8", 71-inch reach. Right? He's 13-4 overall on a 3-fight win streak. He went 12-4 in Bellator, won his sole PFL fight because for whatever reason PFL just were not booking people and cancelling events all over the place. Right? That was against Henry Corrales. First round stoppage. First round stoppage of Pedro Calavaro. James Gonzalez, he went a decision to him. Right, so, he is good. And, he came to Bellator off the back of an incredible wrestling pedigree. Champion, Olympic alternate, all of those things. Got submitted in his first fight, right? He then wins 4 fights. 4 fights, first round stoppages all. Loses, interesting enough, to Henry Canales in the first round. Right? Then Adam Borchix stops him in the second. Right? But then he goes back on a tear. Right? And it's great that his last fight was avenging that Henry Colares loss. And he does it in similar fashion. Right? He stops him in the first round now. So that's great. Right? After the Adam Borix loss, he again went on another tear. Won, 6 fights back to back. And then he lost to Jeremy Kennedy only through injury. Right? That's the only reason he lost that fight. So he is, he's got submissions, he's got stoppages, he's come over adversary. Like, Aaron Pico is a beast. He is really fucking good. And for ages, right, it was just like, will he come to the UFC? I think there was a point where his contract might have been up in Bellator, but he didn't come, or something weird went down, But yeah, he was able to come, which is great. But he's fighting Lerone Murphy, which is like, ooh, how is this gonna go, right? Now, Murphy, which is surprising, right? He is 34. 5'9", 73.5-inch reach. The miracle is 16-0 with 1 draw. He's on a 20-fight win streak. And obviously that's including, amateur fights and all of that jazz, right? In the UFC's 8-0 with a draw. And he's coming off a really good win over Josh Emmett, Dan Ige, Edson Barboza. Very friggin' impressive wins. avoiding that damage, you know what I mean? Just doing what he needs to do. Like, a big knock on him was not getting stoppages, but he got a great stoppage over Makwan Amirkhani. You know, he got ground and pound over Ricardo Ramos. Right, the draw, I thought he won that fight. Right, that was his first fight in the UFC, in Abu Dhabi, I think. But yeah, I thought he won that fight. But it was a good fucking fight. It really was. So the thing with Lerone, he has fought some tough opposition. You know, definitely some tough opposition. Not the hugest of names, but tough opposition. But those last 3 fights, Edson Barboza, Dan Ige, and Josh Emmett, they're actually perfect fights for this Pico challenge. Because there's wrestler in Josh Emmett. You know, Barboza's got the kicks. And they all have crazy power. They all have crazy power, but he was able to negate that and just dominate his will. So I think we've seen that from Murphy, you know? And it's great, as I say, it's great that that was his last 3 fights. I mean, that's why he took this fight on 2 weeks' notice. You know, because he's confident. He's on this win streak. And he has been up against those 3 killers. You know, if you haven't, you know, you could be on a big win streak, but you've never fought anyone with dynamite in their hands. So you can be like, oh, yeah, I can. And then you get knocked out. Right? But knowing that you have fought those dangerous people, you survived. You were able to implement a game plan and stick with it. Because there's implementing game plans, right? We've seen so many times people keep that game plan and then slip up. Right? Look, Stephen Thompson against Joaquin Buckley, winning that fight, and then gets clipped. You know, but we haven't seen that from Murphy. Murphy has been able to do his thing. And I think this, if it wasn't for those 3 fights, I might not be doing this pick. But I'm taking Lerone Murphy to get the win over Aaron Pico. Yeah, that's what I'm doing, people. I think this is going to be a great friggin' fight. And yeah, the miracle keeps that run going.